welcome to Good Day Garden. I'm your host, Jacqueline Rhea, and this is my garden. I'm just going to give you a quick update today. I have a couple of things I want to show you that's going on in my garden. I'm still working on the projects that I talked about last time, but there was a couple of things that just popped up I want to give you a heads up about. First up is this sneak weed that is trying to take over my Devils Trumpet. It's called Balsam Apple Momordica. Balsamina is the scientific name. And it is this vine, and I'm pulling it up, and you gotta be careful because it's got all these little tendrils, and this vine is a terror in your garden. It's one of those vines that as soon as you start seeing it pop up, you have to get rid of it. And they're starting to pop up right now. They're coming up from seeds. I don't know why, but I seem to have a lot of it growing in my garden this year. I don't know why. I've been pulling up the little seedlings. This one I happened to miss, and it kind of got out of hand. So I'm going to pull it up. But I wanted to show it to you first before I completely pull it up. That way, if you ever see it in your own garden, you know to pull it up when it's young. Because once they get out of control, it's really hard to get rid of. It is actually, I mean, it produces these cute little yellow flowers, and if you want to hide an ugly building or structure or anything, then this is a great weed to use for half the year. It is going to cover everything. It is going to hide it. You're not going to be able to see or breathe through it because it's just that invasive. It does have these cute little yellow flowers, and they turn into reddish-orange seed pods. They're kind of oblong, very easy to identify. Once you've seen one, then I just had a lizard jump on my ankle. It was very weird. But once you've seen one of the seed pods to this thing, you'll forever know what they look like because they're very unique looking. I don't have any seed pods, thankfully. I caught it in time before it set seeds, because you don't want to go into seed. Not if you don't want to keep it in your garden. What else? I'm going to give you a close-up, show you what the leaves look like so you can identify it. Once you see one, they're pretty easy to identify. The young leaves are pretty much almost entirely round, and then as they mature, they get more and more lobed and very distinct looking. So I'll bring you in and give you a close-up on what that looks like. So here is a close-up of the vine. You can see, tenacious little thing. Has all these tendrils that love, has all these little tendrils. They just love to cling on to things, and it is clinging on to dear life all over my Devil's Trumpet. It's all over my ground covers. It's in my basil. It's in my osteospermum. It's everywhere. I'm going to have a hard time getting rid of this thing already. And that sucks, because I just noticed this a few days ago. I'll show you the flower. Where did the flower go? Ah, here it is. Okay. See, it's a cute little flower. A little yellow petaled flower. That's what it looks like. And the leaves, these are what the big leaves look like. See how deeply lobed they are? All these lobes, basically it's where the leaf kind of comes around, goes back into the center of it, and then comes back out and goes back into the center of it, and then comes back out and goes. Those are all lobes. So when I say deeply lobed, it means it has really long leaf grooves inside the leaf. This is what the older ones look like. This one I found, let's see if I could get a picture of it. This is the little baby one. It basically looks like the adult ones, but the lobes aren't as well developed. They're still there. Even younger, when the vine first starts to pop up, I've seen them without the lobes at all, and it's just the outline of it, kind of like how that looks. You don't really see the lobes all that much, which it's kind of hard to see it anyway, but because it's so small. Man, this thing has already taken over a lot of stuff. This really kind of sucks. So anyway, if the best way to get rid of it is really just to hand pull, unfortunately. Now, if it has already taken over, a large section of your yard and you want to chemically get rid of it, you can use a chemical. It's called glyphosate. That is the chemical contained in Roundup and other weed and grass killers. However, if you spray all your vines with it, anything underneath the vine is gonna die too. It's not a selective killer. It's not just gonna kill the weed, it's gonna kill everything you spray. So if I sprayed all this vine with Roundup right now, it would kill my Devil's Trumpet. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hand pull it and hope I get everything. And then I'm going to have to keep checking back on this section for a long time just to make sure that I got rid of all of it, because chances are I'll probably miss a few. Then if you chemically get rid of it, you want to follow up with a Preemergence chemical herbicide. What a Preemergence is that it prevents seeds from sprouting and creating new plants, which is going to be really handy for this guy if this guy has set seed and it's already, you know, set it out. There are organic Preemergence, but you got to apply them once a month every month, because that's as long as they last. But you do get to keep your organic label on your garden if you use them, and you get the benefits of a Preemergence. If organic is not all that important to you and you just want to make sure this weed doesn't come back, then there are plenty of chemical Preemergence. They're safe. They're not going to harm anything, but they are going to keep your weeds from resprouting from seed. Now, if you have a garden bed where there are plants in it that reliably set seed and come back year after year because of the seed that they set, then you don't want to use them in those beds. You're just going to have to get down on your hands and knees, search for the young weed vines, and pull them out by hand. Unfortunately, that's going to be all you can do. Okay, so if you want to kill it with chemical, use a chemical called glyphosate, and then follow it with Preemergence. If otherwise you don't want to use chemicals, then you're just going to have to pull it by hand and keep an extensive lookout for the small vines as they start to come up, because otherwise it's going to end up like this, and that's not good. Okay, so there's something else going on with my pepper plants that I want to show you. So come on over, and I'll show you what's going on. This is my poblano pepper, and it doesn't really look like it's doing all that well. I mean, it's doing okay. It still has leaves and stuff, but it's getting eaten up by slugs and snails, which last year I had the same problem. I had slugs and snails in my yard. They defoliate things. It kind of took me a while to figure out what was going on and what was defoliating it. Turns out it was slugs and snails. I just kind of let it go. Didn't really do anything about it. I might put out some beer later for them to drown in. But I'm going to see how far they defoliate these things and how they recuperate, just kind of because. They're mostly concentrated on my poblano right now. My other peppers don't really seem to be bothering, so it's just my poblano. And my poblano I'm not really going to keep into next year anyway. I'm either going to give it away or throw it away or compost it, whatever I'm going to do with it. Either way, so I'm just going to let the slugs and snails do their thing to it. So that's one problem that it's having. The other, and all my pepper plants were having this, so I moved them into shade. They're getting sunburned, and the sunburn is kind of hard to tell, but if you got an ugly sort of mark on the side of it, it's always on the sunny side of the pepper, and that's sunburn. It's also called sun scorch. And a lot of my peppers were getting this. This one's starting to get a little bit at the top. Now the shady side looks fine, no problems. And they all do tend to mature on the sunny side first. And so it's going through its maturing phases, and then the sun is just beating down on these things and it's burning them. So that's, you know, just a problem. You just have to pick them earlier before the sun scorch really sets in. It doesn't harm anything. It's not a disease. It's not a fungus. It's not a problem. It's just too much sunlight. They need sunscreen or something. I don't know. So I moved, because I had all my peppers over here where they get the most amount of sunlight. I moved them actually over here, and they get probably about, I want to say 3 extra hours of shade, and they seem to be doing really well. They're looking a lot better. They're not drying out as fast because they're underneath a cherry laurel tree that I have over here. So they're not drying out as fast. The peppers are not scorching as much. There's still a little bit on some that are like really out towards the front, towards the sunlight, but the rest are coming out really good. So I'm getting a lot of really good peppers still. I don't know, go figure. And they're in a lot more shade. Now it's not dark shade. I mean, it's like just underneath the tree, so it's still a bright shade. It still gets the dappled sunlight and everything. So otherwise, they're doing pretty good. Okay, so I wanted to show this to you. If you have any problems with your peppers right now, and this is what it looks like, it's not a fungus, it's not a disease, it's actually sun scorch. Okay. And the way you can tell it's not a fungus or a disease is that it's on the sunny side. Now, if it was a fungus and it was a disease, it would be on the other side. It would be on the shady side, because fungus don't like sunlight. They like moist, humid conditions. And I gotta tell you, we've had rain every day for the past 3 or 4 weeks. I've had 2 days at my house where it did not rain in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and that was actually just Monday and Tuesday this past week were the only 2 days where I did not get any rain at my house. And then it rained again last night. May or may not rain again tonight, I don't know. But and that's a lot of rain, and I expect a lot of fungus problems. I got some rust going on with my rain lilies, but that's okay. No big deal. They're just rain lilies. And I've got the osteospermum covering them up, so you can't really see it. Alright, I think that's it. All I wanted to show you today. The yard is coming along pretty good. It is a large project. The driveway is mostly finished. It's at least as finished as it's going to get right now. And the grassy area, there's a couple of things I got to redo, but it's otherwise doing fine. I got to take out a whole bunch of dirt, which kind of sucks because there's so much dirt there that it's already above the level of the sidewalk. Was kind of hoping for that to not happen. Positive thinking, it doesn't always work, but so I gotta remove a lot of dirt, and then I'm gonna have to amend the soil because all that top soil that I'm removing is where all my nutrients are, so that's not gonna be good for my grass seed, but oh well. So I'm gonna be dealing with that still. So next update, kind of spotty, depends on what else is going on in my garden, what else I find interesting. So okay, for now that's it. I will see you next time, and remember, it's always a good day in the garden. Ciao.